Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery here. It is a beautiful Tuesday morning. Today is July 8th, 2025. We get together most weekday mornings at 8 o'clock Central to talk about strategies, tips, share techniques, and success stories. As we've recently announced some pretty significant changes in how we're going to reach out to local communities. We have had tremendous success with the evolution of the Express Shelf Corp. As of June 1st, we were able to modify the grant whereby participants are able to receive a Shelf Corp for free rather than needing to pay for it and get reimbursed. That has facilitated explosive growth for us and also for many of you, because obviously when you can give something away, you're going to get a lot more traction. So with our distribution model that we're wanting to focus on, it's to have a local presence in each community. So those of you that are our grant coordinators, also called resellers, you're welcome to stay in that role. No changes, no impact to you. However, we are looking for leaders that will actually run a physical office in each community. And so we're going to go through this new flyer today and understand it better. And then we're going to get into some of the practical aspects of how to set up your branch office in a compliant way. So with that being said, let's look at the shared screen. It says own a branch office, help create a financially healthier community. On the left-hand side here, it says our 501c3 nonprofit has received a grant with 3 mandates. So this is what we do. And if you wanted to be either a reseller or own a branch office, this is what you would do as well, because we're all working together. We're on the same team. So if you're thinking about, well, would I be a good fit to be an owner of a branch office? It starts with understanding what we do. So let's start with that. The first thing that we do and that you would do if you're running a branch office in your community is helping improve financial literacy. To you, maybe that doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but most people don't know what you know and what I know. They don't understand how to get funding. They often are frustrated, sometimes disappointed, even angry. They want money they need money often to start or grow a business, but most people lack the knowledge to be able to qualify. So that's the most important thing that you and I can do in local communities is start by educating people. And so the branch office provides a physical location for people to come in so we can educate them individually or in groups. The second of the 3 mandates is that we're giving away those shelf corps. Well, why is that important? How does that fit in? Well, you can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't implement, you don't have the ability to apply that knowledge, then there's not going to be any money. So what you and I know is you have to have a fundable business if you want business funding. Most people don't have a fundable business. Therefore, the grant allows you and I to give away free shelf corps so they do have that infrastructure to be able to access funds from. And then third, of course, we want to put that knowledge and that shelf corp into action and actually go get them money, get them a minimum, guaranteed minimum of 100,000, and that can be used to start a business, to grow a business, or to buy a business. When we say buy a business, that could mean a franchise or that could mean an existing cash flowing business. So this is so important that we're all on the same page. If you don't share an interest or maybe even a passion for this, you're probably not on the right Zoom right now. But if you would like to help us accomplish these things, we can make an incredible amount of money for you very quickly, legally and ethically. So furthermore, to better accommodate our market penetration in each community, we are opening local branch offices, 1 per county per state. As we talked about on yesterday's Zoom, and the past Zooms are all posted up on our YouTube channel. Our branch office model is built around what we used to do at the SBA. So Mark, Chuck, and I all used to work at the SBA. Now, technically, we were employees of the SBDC, which is the Small Business Development Center. That's the implementation arm of the SBA. So, all these SBDC offices are across the country, most of them associated with an academic institution like a college or university. Half the money for that comes from the SBA normally, the other half comes from the local college or university. So what we're doing here with the branch offices isn't just some cool idea. Let's try it and see if it works. It does work, and it's been in place for decades, literally decades. But it's been a distribution model built around a governmental entity whereby we are privatizing this so individuals like you, like Anthony, like Art up in Chicago, like Christy, if I recall, in Houston. So all of you that are wanting to be able to monetize this model in your community, you can do so. Now, if you just want to go get a job with the SBDC, you can. They're hiring all the time. All of you would probably be qualified to be a director, and as a director of an SBDC office, what are you going to make? 75, 85,000 a year? If you're not making that per month in our model, then we're doing something wrong. So sure, you can do much of this as a W-2 employee of the government, and that's fine, or you can do it as an entrepreneur, which is really our space. So, as the owner of a branch office, you're going to be at the nucleus of entrepreneurialism in your community by increasing financial literacy and access to capital. This is not a franchise model, so you don't have to buy into some franchise and follow a bunch of very specific rules. You'll manage the profit and loss. You keep 100% of the profit. So the branch office model is not a royalty model like a franchise would be. You keep 100% of the profits. Of course, our website's 509 Pacific. So I'm going to get into some more specifics, but does anyone have questions on the background of why we're doing this or why it's important? We're going to get into some very practical implementation steps in a moment, but if anyone has any questions as we go along, feel free to type those into the Q&A. So let's drill a little bit deeper so you can better understand what you would be doing if you were running a branch office. Well, first of all, you're a problem solver, and that's really what entrepreneurs do, right? Entrepreneurs solve other people's problems. Entrepreneurs offer goods or services to clients, and clients pay for that good or service. And so in our world, what we're going to be doing is assisting entrepreneurs with having a fundable business, also having better credit. We don't sell credit repair. Our attorneys, our legal team does that for free for the participants. We're going to get them at least 100,000. So it's not some dream, some shell game. We guarantee a minimum of 100,000 for each participant. Can be more. We help them get set up with daily bank deposits, get their documentation together like business plans, financial projections. We provide them all a compliant commercial address and much more. So this is the first thing that we do together is solve problems. And the problem is most small business owners want and need money, but they often don't have a qualifying business. So we've got to nip that right in the bud. If we don't solve this problem, then the rest is just lip service. We also provide geographic exclusivity. So we're going to have just one branch office per county. Now, if you want to have satellite offices or multiple offices in your county, that's up to you. We already said that you're going to manage the P&L. We've talked about on other trainings how we can get part-time offices, often for free, by working with key influencers. But the bottom line is we want to have one leader per county, per state. So there is not infighting, there's not an overlap. It is a turnkey business model ready to get started. So if you decided that you wanted to run a branch office, we could launch today as a soft launch, and then within 30 days or so be ready for a full launch. And actually, so we're going to be not having a Zoom this coming Monday, which is the 14th, because we are launching a new branch office in Columbus, Ohio. What's interesting, the people and institutions that are drawn to us to own a branch office aren't just people. Sometimes they're accountants and attorneys, professionals that want to expand their service offering. It's actually a university that bought the branch office rights in Columbus, Ohio. So it's actually an academic entity that wants to use this as a community outreach instrument to be able to better train their MBA and their entrepreneurial students. So it's really fascinating when you look at what this can become. Certainly, this is great just for you, but it also is very attractive to larger entities and organizations. Expanded support and training. So, of course, we have these daily Zooms and such, but with the branch offices, we're doing also in-person training. And that makes a big difference because we can talk about topics in little snippets, but frankly, that's not effective for a real depth of understanding. Our best bet is to sit down together in a room with the curriculum face to face, ensure interaction and ensure understanding. So that's an important part of the branch office. Whereas a reseller, if you just want to be a reseller, which is kind of a lower level, you don't really need in-person training. It's crazy simple. But if you're going to be running a branch office, there's more involved. Now, with that being said, it's easy to implement because just as with those of you that are resellers, if you're the branch office, we're still doing the implementation. We're not needing to train you to do the work. You're doing the outreach, you're developing the client relationships, we're your back office. So it's very easy to implement. As we've been running the program through resellers in the past, some are very good and making a lot of money. Others, they seem to sometimes struggle with getting leads because if you don't have someone to educate and you don't have someone to give a free shelf corp to, there's no one to get funding for and no way to make money. So the difference with the branch office is significant in terms of how you work in the community. And that's part of what we focus on in that free training, the in-person training, is working with key influencers such as banks. With the bank model, what happens is the banks refer their declines to your branch office. We run those clients through our program and then we refer them back to that same bank for funding. So you still get paid the same, and we'll talk about compensation in a moment, but that allows for a whole nother level of volume and quality of leads. The conversion rate, when you get a referral from a local banker, the conversion rate is very, very close to 100%. If you just went out and bought some leads, good luck on closing 10% of them, probably if they're cold leads. Of course, the branch offices get all the tools and resources. We provide them a free landing page that has the drip marketing and e-contract signatures. And then we do want these branch offices to be set up correctly, and that's where I'm going to expand our conversation momentarily. So we do include 100,000 startup allowance. We can do more than 100,000 if needed. That's for payroll for yourself and for staff. Again, you're managing the P&L. So if you want to keep it real simple, run it as a solo operator, you can. I don't think you'll reach your potential by yourself, but you could. You could add other employees for marketing, office expenses, company cars, so forth. So those are some of the highlights. But what I want to do is talk a little bit more for a moment about the setup of the branch office. So just like what we had to do, we had to go through a credentialing visit. So we're going to come out, and we're on your side, of course, but we're going to make sure that your branch office, if you decide to open one, is legally compliant. So let's talk about what that means very practically. So you will need to choose an office in your community. Now, again, we can finance it, through the startup funds. But you're going to need a physical office. This is not something that you can run from your back bedroom. That doesn't give the good optics, but also it won't meet the credentialing standards. So from a credentialing standpoint, let me give you just a quick checklist of what we're going to help you set up and then come out and ensure that you comply. The first is very simple. You need to have signage, right? So this is not franchise, so you can go with whatever branding you want, but whatever the name of your organization is needs to have proper signage. Secondly, we need to make sure that the room or rooms that you keep confidential client information is kept secure. So, for example, it's locked, it doesn't have access to the general public, you have a locked file cabinet, you have a password on the computer, you have a shredder to shred sensitive information. So, nothing really difficult, but those are some basic standards that we're held to from our bank partners and that we want you to be compliant with as well. So, there's not some great cost of compliance, but those are things so you're set up properly. But we're going to walk you through that. Also, just like we have a bond. And so if you're going to be involved with collecting any money, we'll probably want to make sure that you have a bond, just like we have. We'll want to make sure that you have proper insurance, just like we have. And then, of course, you'll have the formation entity and the IRS information. So with that, you can decide with your branch office, do you want it to be set up as a for-profit entity or a nonprofit? Either is fine. You can have a nonprofit and still have payroll and money for marketing and all these. It's up to you, but we'll work with you on how you want to structure, and that'll affect, of course, the funding that we get you. So, are there any questions on some of the practical aspects? I will pivot over to the comp model in just a second, but let me go through here and see what postings we have. Debbie, I don't really understand your question. Matthew's asking about bank accounts. So sure. So as a branch office, you'll need to have a bank account. Obviously, every business should have a bank account, whether it's a for-profit or nonprofit. So of course, Matthew, that's important. Art's asking about the down payment. Yeah. So as a branch office, the branch office has a license fee. It's not free. It's not free. And entrepreneurs don't expect things for free. If you want free, then I'd recommend being a reseller. There's no cost, no contract to be a reseller. And in fact, the comp model is the same, which we're going to go through in a minute, as resellers between branch offices. The difference is the branch office is positioned differently in the community and able to drive massive more volume. But regardless of that, so you can get a branch office, and that's what Art's asking. You put $1,000 deposit. That's all we need. We'll hold that market for you, and then we can get you financing for the license fee. So not a problem for that. Just you've got our phone number. You've got our website. Just let us know if you're interested. And actually, on the website, there's an inquiry form to let us know if you'd like to have a branch office, and we can get that set up and get it held for you right away. There's not like a race, but some markets are very desirable. And so if you're considering having a branch office, I would get the deposit in sooner than later, because that county may not remain available. But that's up to you. All right, let's see here. Sanya asks, how long does she need the physical office space? Well, you can always move offices, and businesses commonly do. It's not unusual for any type of business to start small, and as they grow, they need more office space. So that's up to you. The branch office license agreement, maybe this is what Sanya was getting to, but I'm not sure. It's a year long. So once we get, let's say, 6 months through the year, then we can sit down and decide, how's this working out? Is it a good fit for you? Are you a good fit for us? Do we want to renew into a second year or not? If you wanted to exit the branch office, it's a license, which means it's an asset. You could sell it and exit, but it's a year relationship with the hope that we work year in and year out continuously. And frankly, that has a lot of similarity of how the SBA works. The SBA does these contracts with colleges and universities to host the SBDC offices, as I referenced before, and they periodically revisit those relationships and decide if it's a good fit. So that's very consistent with what we do. So, Sanya, hopefully that answers your question. Franz asked about fees associated with finding others to own a branch office. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so we are looking for help, quite frankly. We need to open about 3,000 branch offices because that's about how many counties there are across the country. So yes, Franz, you or anyone else, if anyone's interested in helping us build out our network of branch offices, we're more than happy to pay you for that. Just let us know again on 509pacific.org. There's an inquiry form. You can let us know if you're interested in that, and we can do so. We'd love to collaborate with you. And there's no cost, of course. You're just paid to help us build out the network. All right, so thanks for that. Kenny says he's working on the offer. Catherine's asking if you own a shelf corp, can you use that for your branch office? Absolutely. Yeah. So that's perfectly fine. So if you already are a client and you have a shelf corp, we can use it. We can form a new entity, and that wouldn't be any cost for you to do that. So whichever you want, but we'll work with each of you on the game plan of what you want to do. Jody's bringing up a good point, and it's almost where I was getting ready to go in the conversation before I read Jody's question. In my opinion, it's just my opinion, I would have two entities. I would have a for-profit and a nonprofit. I would have the branch office as a nonprofit, and I would also encourage you to own a for-profit management company. So that's how I would position it if I were you. But again, that's a bit more complicated because now we have two entities. But without a doubt, if you go out to the marketplace as a nonprofit, you'll have the best response. Is it a prerequisite? Is it a requirement? No. But since several of you are asking, I would have two entities. I'd have a nonprofit, which the branch office is, and then I'd have a for-profit management company. But that's up to you, and then those two can interrelate in a legally compliant way. But it's up to you. We could do one or the other. We don't have to do both. Matthew's asking if he purchases a branch office other than the license fee, which you only need to pay $1,000 for us to hold it. We can get financing for the rest. Is there any other expenditures? Well, yes, I mean, but you're controlling it. So you're determining the P&L. So Matthew, you and everyone else, how much do you need per month for payroll? Well, it's up to you. You're not paying us some royalty every month. So it's not like you need to budget to us to be able to operate the branch office, but you need to run your business. So yes, there are expenses for running your branch office, but you control that. It's up to you. Hopefully I answered that correctly, Matthew. If I missed your point, let me know. Kenny asked a really good point. So if you're going to run a branch office, you have tremendous autonomy. It's not a franchise model. And for those of you that know, franchises are tightly regulated. This is a business license agreement. So we're providing the tools, resources, and support, but it's not considered a franchise. So Kenny's asking about how can he accept money from his clients through the branch office? And Kenny, I think you're in Tennessee, if I recall. So if you open a branch office in Tennessee, Kenny, it's up to you. You can collect payments from your clients however you want. Maybe I should go ahead and pivot over to the comp model so that makes sense for those of you that are new. So let's table Kenny's questioning over to this. So branch offices operate as independent business units through a licensure arrangement, which I mentioned to you a moment ago. So it's not a franchise, it's a business license agreement. The comp model is designed to generate a minimum of 100,000 a month, 1.2 million a year. So that's at the minimum. If you don't hit those numbers, we probably will not be renewing into second year because you're not meeting the expectations. When I was at one SBDC in a small market, we were starting ballpark of about 100 businesses a month. And these are government employees that don't have the financial upside that you have. So these projections are based on 20 deals a month. So if you're running a branch office and we can't figure out how to enroll at least 20 clients a month, it's not a good fit. So of course we'll try to fix it, but my point is um, this should be viewed for what it is. This isn't some, oh, I'm going to sell some crafts from my back bedroom. This is going to be $1 million business. And if not, we're doing something wrong. Well, where does the money come from? Is it too good to be true? Of course it's not. So the comp plan is the same as for resellers. So any of you that have been around as resellers, it's the same. We're literally not changing anything about the comp model. It's the same for resellers, which is free. You can become one on 509 Pacific, or for the branch. So there's two types of income, upfront and passive. And this is where Kenny's question was. So as a branch office, you determine what the processing fee is. We're giving away the shelf court because of the grant, but there is a processing fee. You choose what that is, or you could choose not to mark it up at all. Most of you seem to be going for right at 1,000 or doing like Walmart retail pricing, $999.99. Kenny's question, I think, was, how does he collect, we'll call it $1,000 from each client for their processing fee? That's up to you. I mean, if you want to accept credit cards or checks or Venmo or PayPal, that's literally up to you. You're managing the P&L, Kenny. It's up to you how you want to accept money from your clients. So this is money that comes today up front. Then secondly, there's the passive income. This is a larger amount, but you don't have to do anything on this. This is where our team's coming in, taking the clients that have the shelf court, getting them funding, and then that's getting you a minimum of 5,000 to your branch office for each participant. So you can see if we're making 5,000 a pop and we do at least 20 a month, one a day, that's where the 100,000 a month, 1.2 million a year comes from. So it's not some outlandish numbers. Now, there's ways we can make more than 100,000 a month. So we could either increase how much you're charging them for a processing fee, which I wouldn't necessarily do, but you could. The other strategy is to help clients with larger capital raises. So let's say that we didn't want to work with them to just get 100,000. We wanted to work with them to get at least 1 million. Well, obviously 1 million is 10 times 100,000. So instead of getting 5,000 per grant participant, now you're making 50,000. Well, if you're making 50,000 per grant participant and we do 20 of those a month, now we're at $1 million a month versus $1 million a year. But I'm not trying to paint something too good to be true. I'm just explaining to you the comp model because Kenny was asking about how to accept money from clients. That's up to you. Part of the on-site training that we're going to do, in addition to doing the credentialing, will be to help you get all these things set up. Okay, great questions. And so now we'll go back to the others. Several others of you asked about the for-profit versus nonprofit. We'll work with you and determine whatever you want. We can facilitate either. Franz asked if the license is renewable each year, and that's right. So it's a 1-year license. At about the halfway point, we'll start having a dialogue. Is it a good fit? Do you think you want to continue at the end of the year? Do we feel like it's a good fit? Do we want to continue with you? Hopefully so, but it's a 1-year license, which again can be sold. Let's say you get into it 3 months, you have a stroke, and you're not able to continue to work. Well, you could have someone else run it, or you could sell it, often at a profit. John's asking about having a sales team. So sure, you're deciding how you're going to run the branch office. And if you look at how SBDCs operate, there's usually a director, which would essentially be you, Mr. Hall, and then you have advisors. And so some of the SBDCs have 10 or more advisors. Some are very small and they don't have any. So we'll work with you on all the strategy. That's part of the in-person training, but it's up to you. And so you can build whatever team that you want to have. B asked about timeline. So we can normally get the first tranche of funding for your branch office within a week. So if you were to say, yep, I want to have a branch office today, and today is July 8th, by the 15th, July 15th, we should have your first round of working capital in your pocket so we can go ahead and start getting the infrastructure set up. So I would allow 30 days to get the branch office fully up, furnished, and operational, but we can start generating cash flow immediately in a soft launch mode. Kenya says about reaching us. Yeah, so here's our phone number. This is the phone number for the 501c3 nonprofit. Now, some of you are interesting. You come from a different mindset. Some of you will call, and I don't answer the phones normally, but I monitor the call log. Some of you will call, but you don't leave a message. Well, if you don't leave a message, you don't get a call back. So there's a tip. But if you leave a message, just because we're tied up, we'll call you back. So that shouldn't be a problem. Let's see here. Marcos asked a really good question, and it's very insightful. So let's go back to the bank model. So it's not just about getting leads from bankers, but this is a key point. When you have a physical office, you're visible, you're credible in your local community. It allows us to do things that the average reseller probably can't pull off. So with that being said, and again, we're building this off of what we literally did at the SBA. So we're taking this SBDC model, moving it into your community with you being the owner of the branch. It's crazy good. So let's talk a little bit more about the bank relationship. So what we did at the SBDC is we would invite the local bankers in to our office. So again, you would have an office, so we could invite them over. We could invite them in groups. We can feed them lunch. We can do in-services. We'll help you do those things. So don't worry, we're in this together, and it's what we plan for during the in-person training. But the bottom line is, what do banks want? Because you got to remember, when you're in business, you don't want to just think about what's in it for you. You want to think about what's in it for the other party. So what do these local bankers want, Marcos? Well, bankers want to loan money. Some people don't think so, but you're wrong. Bankers want to loan money, but they want to loan money to qualified businesses or applicants in general. So what we're doing is we're solving a problem. What happens when people go to the local bank to get a business loan, but they get declined, or maybe they even get approved, but they don't get approved for as much as they want? Normally, the bank doesn't offer those resources, and really they can't. You normally shouldn't, just because of regulations and fair lending laws and so forth. So we're becoming the solution to the banker's problem, that when they have people that don't get approved or don't get approved for as much as they want, they refer to you and your branch office. So then what we do is get that business set up properly, get all the documentation, the 3 C's, remember, credit, collateral, capacity. So we strengthen that business so they're quote unquote fundable. What we want to do, though, Marcos, is send them back to that same local bank, because we're not a lender. We're not the bank. And I think Marcos thinks we're the bank. If you look at our business card, it doesn't say Wells Fargo. So with that being said, there's not a conflict of sending the applicant back to the referral source for funding. You're still paid the same, Marcos, right? So why wouldn't you want to do the right thing and refer that person back? It only makes sense. So maybe there's a gap of knowledge you have that we can work on. Uh, Troy is asking about kind of the interface between resellers and branches. So there are really two different distribution models, and you could do either. I don't think you do both. There wouldn't be a need to do both. You can be a reseller, and as a reseller, we're not going to support you in developing bank relationships and doing in-person activities. That's not the role of a reseller. A reseller is more kind of at large. But if you wanted to have a branch office, now we're taking everything that we've learned and what the SBDC has done for decades and applying it to you and your community. So you'd be one or the other. You wouldn't want to be both. Resellers free, easy, get started today. Branch office not free. I wouldn't say it's not easy, but there's more involved. But we've been very transparent in that. Doug's asked about the license fee. So the license fee up through, and we talked about this last week, the license fee up through July 15th is reduced in half, a 50% reduction to a 1-year license fee of $10,000. But you don't have to worry about coming up with $10,000. All you need to do is put $1,000 down and we'll get financing for the rest. Now, I know some of you say, well, I don't have $1,000. Well, you're not ready to start a branch office. It doesn't mean you're not a good person, but start as a reseller, fix your financial solvency issues, and then come back and get a branch office. But yeah, certainly if someone doesn't have $1,000 to put a deposit on a branch office, they're not ready for that role. All right, let's see if there's any other questions we need to cover. Art's asking, and again, I don't understand the question, but Art's on the Marcos bandwagon. Yes, so if we get a referral from a bank and we get them all cleaned up and we send them back to the bank for funding, yes, you're still paid the same way. So no matter where the client generates, you're still paid the same. So don't worry about that. I think some of you are reading too much into it. So no worries there. Jody asking, we'll close on this, a great question. Jody says, hey, if there's these SBDCs out there, and here we are kind of replicating their model, is that a problem if there's an SBDC in your area? Not at all. And in fact, they can be a referral source for you. That's a governmental entity that doesn't do the breadth of things that we do. So they're a competitor. They're even in strategic terms a direct competitor, but we should always seek to collaborate. But I'll say this, and I know this is going to be recorded or is being recorded, but I'll say it probably shouldn't. Jody, if I were you, I would open a branch office, and then when we have our in-person planning, let's plan on who you want to put on your payroll. And Jody, do you know the first people I would go recruit? I'd go recruit all the people from the fucking local SBDC office. These are some of the best employees you can get because they're not like you and I. You and I are entrepreneurs, right? You offer me a job, forget it. I want to be in an ownership role so I can recognize the fruit of my labor. That's not these people. These people want security. They want a W-2 job. We can go hire these people for next to nothing. We could give them a base salary of $120,000 a year, $10,000 a month, and they would come fill your office with staff. So the bottom line is a lot of these SBDCs won't be able to survive once we open these local offices, because what we should consider doing is hiring these people to come work for you, because you can get them paid twice what they are now. All right, let's see. All right, so I think we covered a lot. Bottom line is the branch office, it's a real deal. May not be a good fit for you. You can be a reseller, cost you nothing, no contract. You can be a dabbler, but we needed an outlet for the pros. And if you're wanting to do something on a more significant level, a bigger scale, then I would consider the branch office. You can go to our website, 509pacific.org. And on there, you can fill out the inquiry form, let us know what your areas of interest are. And then if you need to talk to someone, you can also call us. Now, we're busy, which is a good thing. So if we don't answer, it doesn't mean we don't love you. You know, like I think Kenya was worried about. leave a message. But if you call, some of you have this weird mindset, like, leave a message? I would never leave a message. Well, if you don't leave a message, we're not going to just call a missed call back. So leave a message, and we make sure that we do that. So I don't think there'll be a problem. All right. Thanks, everyone. You have a great day. We'll see you back tomorrow morning. Again, there won't be a training on Monday of next week, the 14th, because we're going to be opening the new branch in Columbus, Ohio, which is going to be owned and operated by a university there, which is exciting. Thanks, everyone. Talk to you soon.